I'm Diana, I'm a game artist.
I'm Pratik, I'm also a game artist.
And we were asked by Futuregames to answer some student questions. Go ahead.
Yep. So the first question is, what got you into playing video games and what's your favorite game?
What got me into playing video games was when I was a little kid. We used to play games a lot because we didn't have a lot of money. That's how we connected. And I just really like the graphics of it all. I've always liked that. And my favorite video game was or is Majora's Mask. How about you?
So I got my start playing video games. I think it was Pokemon that we played first. And it was a pretty fun introduction to me. I think role-playing games in general, I suppose, that's really what got me into it. And from then on, it was sort of a, I tried more games after that. And I think I really enjoyed understanding how these games were made. Because some of them were actually, I could mod them pretty easily.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's how I find myself here studying game art, hoping I can recreate those experiences that I played as a kid.
Yeah, for other people.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a really good feeling.
What's your favorite part of game creation?
So, my favorite part of game creation as an artist is environment art. So I really enjoy setting scenes up in Unreal Engine or whatever game engine we use. And I like the storytelling aspect of it as well. So there's a lot of opportunity to create a narrative with the art, and I think that's a really powerful thing. Being able to think about where to direct players, how do you get their attention, and how do you evoke emotions of certain kind. I think that's a really powerful thing to be able to create. And equally, as much as I like the artistic aspects of it, I also enjoy the technical side, creating shaders, creating textures, making things look really good, the lighting and almost everything. So I think environment art lets me focus on those things in equal measure. And I think it keeps things very fresh all the time.
Yeah.
How about you?
I have to agree. I just find it very fun because if you say like one picture can say 1,000 words, I feel like a video game can visually say 1,000,000. Because even just an item can look, like you said, it can tell many things about what that item is and where it came from. And so I also I do like environment, but I kind of focus a lot on characters. Because I feel like it's kind of the same. You can say a lot about a character just by how they're shaped.
Nice. Move on to the third question. What kind of work did you do before studying at Futuregames?
I was studying something else, but I could kind of feel that it just kind of gnawed at me, and I continued wanting to do arts. And since I did 2D, I felt like the most natural path was to go into 3D as well. So that's kind of what I did. I worked as a freelancer and stuff like that, and I felt like I could do more.
Yeah.
How about you?
So before joining Futuregames, I worked as a 3D artist, and I wanted to improve my skills when it came to environment art. I wanted to specialize, and I also wanted to create a portfolio that would be better suited for AAA. And that's why I ended up joining Futuregames.
Oh, let's see. What's this? Oh my gosh. How would you describe the games industry and community in northern Sweden, and what advantages does this region offer to upcoming game developers?
That's a good question. I think that the industry in northern Sweden is very active. I feel like there are lots of events and meetups happening all the time. It just feels very alive. And I think that as a student at Futuregames, we get a chance to be a part of those events. I think it's a really good exposure as a student to be able to talk to so many people in the industry and just see how it's growing and how it works in general, which I think is really nice.
Yeah, such a big part of this whole industry is just making connections.
Yeah.
So the fact that they offer these events and stuff like that for us to go to and make those connections is really great.
In what ways does studying in the north of Sweden influence your way of learning? It
is very close to nature.
Yeah.
There's, I mean, the how do you say, the Elven in the middle of the town.
River, yeah.
The river is very beautiful, and just the climate here in general, like I don't know, it's very kind of secluded, and that's why it's so intimate.
Serene.
Yeah, it's very serene,
peaceful.
and there's a lot of places you can go to. It's just in a lot of places that, for me at least, bring me a lot of inspiration when I draw and stuff like that.
Exactly.
So I would definitely say that the environment up here also encourages learning.
And I'd say, I suppose one factor that can also be added to this is the fact that things are slightly, more affordable here. I don't know if that potentially helps, but that's a massive stress off your shoulders when you can just focus on what's important to you.
Yeah.
And the fact that you have, such good nature. You have a very good balance of city life and nature, I suppose.
That is true.
So you can actually unwind and then just get back right into it without any issues.
Ooh. Before you moved to the north of Sweden, what did you think it would be like? And how did it actually turn out? Any fun cultural surprises or differences?
Okay, yeah, that's an interesting question.
For you, for sure.
Yeah. Honestly, it wasn't as much of a culture shock as I thought it would be.
Really?
For some reason. But then one thing that I was really worried about was the cold. But I think I've been able to enjoy it a lot more than many other people have, maybe. And it's actually a lot of fun for me to be able to just walk out and just see the cold, see the snow and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I suppose...
the cultural differences, like, maybe? I'm sure it's very different here from how it is.
It definitely is. But I kind of feel like maybe I haven't had the chance to, experience all those cultural differences all that much. But in general, I find people to be really friendly and approachable here. And yeah, it's not been an issue for me so far, making friends and just getting to know people, I suppose. Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
I am from southern Sweden, so I mean, there isn't as much of a cultural shock as maybe it is for you. But I would definitely say that there are things that are quite different despite being from the same country. It's, well, of course, the weather is very different. But like, people are very nice here. I feel like they are, it's like a small town vibe, people know each other and are very friendly and are kind of open to help you if you need anything.
Yeah, that's true. I do think that, at least I think there tends to be a sort of, basically I'm just repeating what you just said, which is like people, you kind of get the idea that people might be secluded and they might prefer doing their own things. Yeah. But I think they're really approachable and they're super helpful when it comes to, at least as an international student, for me that's not been a problem trying to explore the places and everything like that. I've always had help of some kind whenever I had asked for it. So it's been a really pleasant experience. I
think it has to do with how alive the industry is up here.
Yeah.
Because they are very encouraging to be social.
Yeah, exactly. As someone who's from India, and I was expecting a massive cultural shock, that wasn't actually the case. It was a lot more easier than I expected.
That's very
far more easier. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go over the last questions. What do you find most exciting or challenging about game development? And any courses or assignments at Futuregames that were particularly interesting or felt extra rewarding?
So at Futuregames, I think what I really enjoyed a lot were the game projects that we get to work on. So we worked on 4 game projects throughout the program, and I felt like they were a really nice culmination of what we've learned individually as students, and you get to apply that learning to a more professional setting. You work with agile methodology, so to speak. You work in sprints. You work in a way that's industry standard, and you get to do that with a lot of other teammates as well. And I suppose one of the things that I really enjoy is the fact that because it's a small team of game developers, you get to work with you get to put on a lot of hats basically, and do different things that you probably would not do otherwise. So I think that's really nice. What do you think?
Well, I think the game projects are a very good way to put everything you've learned to the test. You know, there are a lot of times where I've had to do things that I'm not very comfortable with, but because we're in a team where we're all trying to learn something, it's not that big of a deal. Some things that I find challenging, it's just, you know, sometimes it gets stressful. Sometimes I get put in a position where I'm not comfortable with what my task, but I feel like with the mentoring and with your classmates and, you know, your project mates as well, of course, you get a lot of help. And since we're all students, they understand that sometimes we're struggling with things. So yeah, I would probably say the projects as well. Yeah.
We'll go on to the next question then.
Yes.
Futuregames claims to have close ties with the games industry. And have you had the chance to meet anyone from Swedish or international studios yet?
Yeah, they definitely have the connections. There's a lot of events all the time. The latest one I went to was Boden Game Changer. We met a lot of people from major Swedish studios like EA, or well, maybe not Swedish, I don't know. EA, Star Stable, etc. And you get to talk with these people more one-on-one, which is, you know, very valuable because you get to actually see the people that you're, you know, sometimes look very far away from you as a student.
I think I also agree, because I feel like one of the major reasons why I wanted to join Futuregames is because of its close ties with the industry, and that proved to be true. Every course has an industry professional associated with it who will teach you and guide you through the course, and I thought that was really nice. And you also get a chance to meet all these people at, you know, studio meet and greets that we have, Ting basically. And I felt that outside of just the courses and these official meet and greets, because the industry around you is pretty close to Futuregames is what I see, and I think you get a chance to meet these studios outside of these events as well, quite a bit. Yeah. So there's always a constant interaction with the industry, which I think is really nice and healthy as a student.
How does the education of Futuregames get you ready for a job in game development? And do they offer specific paths or specializations within the course?
Yeah. So when it comes to the educations, I think the curriculum the curriculum actually takes everything into account when it comes to, at least when it comes to game art, for example. The curriculum covers everything, and I think in that way it helps you understand what you want to learn and what you can do in the industry as well. The fact that they offer specializations is a good thing, because then you get a chance to choose what you want to do, what you want to specialize in. So it could be, at least when it comes to game art, it could be something like environment art, focus, or character arts. Maybe you enjoy creating props, or you want to do animation or rigging. You can actually specialize in those aspects as well, which I think is really neat when it comes to game art.
Yeah, and during the projects you're sometimes forced to take on roles that you don't want to specialize in, and you get to try new things. I know, at least in game art, like you said, we have like rigging, prop making, etc. And then in the design course, they have like level design and narrative. And then programmers, they have AI and like physics, scripting, etc. And you know, you can't be best at everything. So the fact that you get to try things and, you know, put yourself up for a challenge, it's very rewarding later in the game projects.
What do you think about the game projects that blend various disciplines?
Well, it's very rewarding. Like we said before, it's you know, you get to try different things, but also your teammates get to try different things.
Yeah, I feel like the fact that you get to work with various disciplines and not just, you know, you're not siloed in, so to speak. You get a chance to see what other people are doing. And as you mentioned, that actually helps you understand how they work, what sort of problems they would face, the empathy aspect that comes into this. And I think that's very helpful, especially since it's very team-oriented work that we do. Yeah. So being able to understand what other people are doing and what sort of challenges they face and how you can help them with that is very nice. Yeah. And I think that's one of the most important things about these game projects.
Yeah, definitely. Was it my turn?
Yeah.
It was my turn.
Yeah.
Ooh, there we go. What tips would you give to students aspiring to join Futuregames?
So I would say that having a general understanding of 3D is very helpful, and maybe you could also think about what sort of specializations you want to do going into these programs. Having that idea very early on is beneficial because it helps you focus on those things as you progress through the course. Yeah, that's one thing.
It helps you to keep you motivated as well, because you know that you're eventually going to do what you like, and during the wait you sometimes get to try new things.
Yeah.
And that's why I would say that even if you're worried about coming here, you know, it's fine. You get to learn a lot when you're here, and you have a lot of, you know, your classmates, the mentoring that help you out. So even if you don't consider yourself the best at 3D, it's okay. There are other aspects that you're good at that you can help with, and then your classmates that are good at 3D, like really good at it, they can help you.
What support do you receive as a game development student at Futuregames? And for example, is mentoring available?
Yeah, so mentoring is regularly available. We have mentoring essentially every week. After lectures, we have mentoring with our teachers or industry professionals where we can ask questions directly and get more like accurate answers.
When it comes to support that we receive, we have 10 to 12 hours of teacher-led sessions per week.
Yeah.
And outside of that, you have mentoring, and then you have the entire time to yourselves.
Yeah.
Which I think is really nice. But at the end of the day, I think what you get out of it is how much effort you put into it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the mentoring is very high quality as well. As I mentioned, you get a chance to actually sit down with your head teachers and discuss things with them. And then of course, all the industry professionals that you have coming in can also guide you along the process and everything. So I think it's pretty good. It's very well set up.
Yeah, for sure. I would say so.
Yeah. And with that, I guess we're done with the questions.
Yep.
And thank you for watching. I hope this answers some of your questions, and I hope we get to see you at Futuregames pretty soon.